I'll say this right now. I was called out on my Discord for specifically skipping two Sunday streams in a row on my Twitch, and I'm so sorry. I am so distracted with other things and holidays and stuff like that. I am the king of MIA. Yes, I am. I've been kind of slacking on my Twitch stuff. I'm not even meeting my hours yet. It's just it's there's a lot of comic book stuff. It's really hard for me to juggle the creative and the public side of this stuff. Honestly, it just takes a while to kind of get used to things that I'm still not 100% used to it. But I'm excited for what we're gonna do today. Um, there's gonna be some cool things to share. We got a big announcement coming here real soon, but it's overall I'm just stoked to see all y'all here. Um, we normally what we normally do here is we do like a character like continuity builder stream. So like we construct a character together, and we may still do that today. Um, but one of the things that we're going to be able to do is also collaborate. And a big request from last week was to collaborate on one of my comics. And I have a principle, right? It is important to recognize that I do respect the OC or original content system. And AI makes that really weird because I have to make a personal call about whether or not something is truly mine or it's yours, right? You could send me a comic that is 100% a Victor comic or a Sage or Michael comic, and I didn't touch it at all, but I don't consider that my original content. And at that point, that's like you guys. So like I have to draw a line there. So as long as I'm involved, like a collaborative effort, then I'm down. But I'm just making this big amendment, this big, kind of note here that that I I don't want anyone from Reddit to see this and go like, "Oh wait, he's just uploading stuff that his fans make." Like, no. We're gonna work on things together. We're gonna make things together. And what I'm gonna show you guys this week is actually a comic that I already have largely done, so that you guys can like go nuts on it, and I can have perfect separation of between the works here, because now I like I have this thing in the can, so I don't have to worry about necessarily too much of that stuff with this. So it'll be exciting to see what you guys do with it. Um, I'm on. Let's see. Lizzie says I'm on relax, so I'll be super slow, but I will try to contribute. Yes, and if you are like if you guys don't want to necessarily spend your hours on especially a stream for me, you know what I mean? Like this is largely kind of self indulgent. If we do a comic of mine, I'm just gonna say right now that just yell it, just type in chat, don't do this, and I'll do it. You know what I mean? Like it's one of the benefits of being on stage here is that you guys can effectively use my account here. So let's do that. Feel free to just yell at me, and it'll be run in turbo mode, so we see it nice and quick. Hey Brandon, it's good to see you. Hey Senior Carlos, it's so good to see you too. Um, and Legal Beagle, of course. And I'll just say that when it comes to like, especially on my personal Discord, guys, like I want to do a quick shout out to Legal Beagle because he's talked to me a couple times now, and I really do appreciate everything he's been contributing and posting in terms of like fun fan art and fun like possible shots and scenes that I can use later. Definitely useful, but I want to emphasize that I don't want you guys also to burn your money on me. I really don't want you to do that. So make requests, use the prompt request inside my Discord, and that way if I like it, if it makes sense and it's not too like weird or whatever, then then I'll do it. I'm down for weird, just a certain kind of weird that I try to avoid, and you guys know what I'm talking about. um okay, all right. So let's get into some announcements here. I am extremely stoked for this. This is something that I'm gonna have to move out of the room here real quick so that you guys can see this. So real quick, I'm just gonna uh, open the black box here. If you guys are wanting your characters on the stream so that we can turn them into like, complete character sheets that are fully, or at least mostly, repeating or continuous, then, feel free to submit them to the black box. But in terms of the what we got going on here, and I'm gonna try to do this somewhat covertly here. It's not. Nope. That's that. It's just you're gonna see it right here. So let me just shrink this down a little bit here. Um, so next week we will be joined by Bayrate, who is somebody I met at Valve. And I was just there for a tour, by the way, guys. So I'm gonna move this to center. Sorry. So I was there on a tour, and Bayrate, who is the creature facial lead for the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, we got chummy. He's a super nice guy, super friendly, and I'm so excited to see him on stream. Um, Next week. So we'll be exploring V6 and just checking out all sorts of cool stuff that he's been doing. I'll say this right now. Like, and I'm gonna leave the banner up here so that you guys can see it on the stream here too. So it's just gonna take up my screen. Hold on. Let me put this in a good spot. I should have had this done ahead of time, but I feel like I'm kind of scrambling a little bit sometimes. So I'll leave this right up here while we talk. That way you guys can chat about it and stuff. So what's super exciting about this, guys, is that Bay actually has an AI comic that he made and has published online. So you can check it out now, but he'll be showing off all sorts of different workflows that he has been using inside of Midjourney and whatever other AI workflows that he's come up with. And I'll tell you right now that, like, in many ways he's leagues ahead of me and above me when it comes to like just being able to do what he does. He's an extremely talented and like I'm honestly intimidated by it. But I am so stoked for it. So, and it's all because of you guys. Honestly, we did a fantasy stream over the holidays, and that fantasy stream was like, ever all the motivation I needed to be like, hey Bay, hey, let's do something. So
Just
I'll
so you
I'll
know, I
be
did put the banner in the
go
chat
ahead.
for you.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. If I pop on over to the chat here actually really quick, I'm gonna mute this here because I did have a little special thing that I'm putting together. I haven't put together my backdrop for the interview yet. That'll come, but I do have something here. My character's gonna lock here for a minute. Um, so let's start this announcement off right with this. So we are definitely going to be going into Fantasyland today. We're going to be doing all sorts of fun, just wild ideas related to because we had so much fun with Gnome. You know what I mean? So this will be great to see what you guys get up to with this. So um, yeah, I am beyond stoked for having Bay on here. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna swap this over to VC Create here. Um, and yeah, get your wizard staffs ready. So this is gonna be a bit of a two-parter here. So what I'm gonna do is go over to VC Create, and if you're not familiar with it, you can go to VC Create by scrolling down on Discord here. I'll mute this. If you scroll all the way down on Discord, you'll see the VC text and the VC Create chats. Inside of VC Create is where we'll be prompting today. And the fun thing about this is that the I can bring up some of the parts of my comics so that you guys can basically take them into different directions, and we'll just kind of collaborate on one of them here. Um, let's go ahead and grab. I'm gonna switch on over to the couch here real quick. I'm gonna grab the I'm gonna first kind of explain how I made the comic. just so that you guys can get started with it right. But Midjourney, there we go. So I'm going to use slash show to bring up the starting prompt here. And this just kind of gets me to the comic panels and how I found this character here. But the uh, the thing is that I try to construct the scenes as much as possible inside of Midjourney, so that when I expand them out, we actually get a what is it, more like predicted panels to those comics. So if I show you guys this here, so I'll do slash show, and I'll pull up the job ID for this comic. So this is Vic talking to a like a devil lady. I haven't given her a name necessarily. There's only one real strong like anatomical issue with it, which is that if you look at her arm and her elbow don't really meet. We could just in paint and correct that, but I actually didn't do that. I just completely expanded out and went from there. So so what I'm gonna do is Donna the Demon. I like Donna the Demon. That's fun. Um, let's see here. If I now hit custom zoom, okay, and then I hit change the zoom to 1, and I switch the aspect ratio to say like 2:3. What's going to happen is that it has to fill in the gaps of this comic, the top and bottoms of it, but it can't zoom out because I've set it to 1, right? So because of this, it essentially has to outpaint without losing with as little loss of resolution as possible. I am now going to take out all the text, the actual word prompt in here, and I'm going to write comic panels just to start. And this will be a pretty like small zoom out just to give you guys a comparison and also to kind of show you what happens when you go a little too far with this. We will do an aspect ratio of 1:3. So that means it's 3 times as tall as it is wide. And that means we're going to see a lot of stretching and weirdness, but we might get something cool out of it too. This will feel like instant comics, but understand that we have just kind of broken the surface of this in terms of like the potential of what this can do. And it's not a guarantee, mind you. We'll probably end up with some uh, mostly empty environmental shots and stuff and trees and things like that's populating now. But the idea here is that we can actually direct the comic, and in terms of the words we add after the word comic panels. So Infernia, I like it. Infernia, Lizzie, that's pretty fun. In fact, I'm gonna try to zoom in. Let's see, can I? Yeah, let's see if I can make this bigger so that we can see the text behind. The one of the issues that I have streaming on Discord, by the way, is that Discord is like I'm constantly changing things by accident because I'm like zooming in and out of Photoshop, and then I'll be clicked in Discord for a half second, everything zooms out when I accidentally. Yeah, it's annoying. But what I want you guys to notice here is that when we only zoomed out by a little bit, it added just a like a bit to the top and bottom, right? But when we zoom out to the 1:3, which is what's rendering right now, you're going to see predicted panels based on the existing information that is inside the image, but also based on the text that is inside of this prompt here. So take a look at what we already got off of the first one here. So I'll open this in browser so it's a little bigger. But you want to look at only the tops and bottoms of each one of these because that's what's changed. You notice the middle panels are mostly the same. It'll usually just add a little bit or just be black. But then what it changes in the predicted panels is incredibly fascinating to me because this is essentially it going, okay, I'm seeing this image. Now, what happened before or what happened afterward? And this bottom right one, for example, just a little bit of color correction, and we suddenly have her like, being like, starry eyed to something at the end of the valley or whatever we want to do with this specific panel. Okay. So, and even the top left one, she's kind of in reeds there, but it is still cool. and you could see or get an idea of how it's going to change things. So here's the thing though. Okay. If we now go back to our zoom out here, the one that we confirmed had good panels and stuff, the only thing you need to do, and feel free, everyone, I recommend everyone do this. I'm actually going to copy the message link here and post it inside of VC text. I want you to click that. And if you do have any render hours that you want to spare, I want you to hit the reroll button on here and then add a comma after comic panels and then write whatever the heck you want those two characters to do. Okay? Right? Just anything you want. Um I will warn you ahead of time that I added the word WrestleMania, and that's where half of my comic comes from. So enjoy that. I'll just do let's do something simple to understand. Like this is there's no guarantee with AI anything. There's no guarantee at all. But we can at least try to get them to like let's say like let's start with some camera controls so that we can at least get some feel like we're directors here. So let's just do a low angle and see or let's actually, you know what, let's do bird's eye view. And there's also like worm's eye view if you want to go in the opposite direction, but we'll see what that does. And you could see that you could in paint like who is this, I troll for you, awesome. So I troll for you in painted a skull in her hand, right? Now if we do a comic panel zoom out of this one, right, which I bet one of you all is already doing, you're going to see her holding a skull in like kind of a Shakespearean way, maybe. But this is like insanely powerful. And the reason why this is all possible is not because we just got lucky and we ended up with a usable, prompt here. What it is I started off with the top of the image here, right? And when I panned down and asked for comic panels, I included image codes for Victor, and then I asked for her. But I made sure that when I asked for her and I panned to the right to do it, I didn't include any image references because pans and image references for our character workflow tends to like make big white backgrounds on things, so it doesn't really work out as well as you want it to do. Let's see. Legal Beagle said, "Whatever the heck you want the characters to do." That's what he wrote after comic panels. And and like look, she's got a giant eye in this one for some reason, and I like the kind of like sparkling effect or that's happening at her feet. It almost looks like it could be easily redrawn to be her feet or something, like the world's cracking underneath her. That'd be a fun one. I like the fire and these kind of weird dog things is fun, but you'll also notice that the characters will combine into each other every once in a while. It does help to have some kind of interaction written in the prompt, right? Some kind of action for them to do. Um, One of my favorites, and I'll just kind of like show you guys. Let's see. Arnold Schwarzenegger versus Sylvester Stallone. Okay, so the only thing this is gonna do is throw them into the same background basically as what we have here, because like those are all like feature set characters, right? So like I could look, it's he has like a big staff here because it's seeing the wizard information like inside the image data, like when it's doing the interrogation of this. So this is hilarious. Really funny actually. Let's go ahead and check out what else you guys got here. Attacked by dragons. This one's from Ancient Chaos. Oh wow. Oh, the top right one's neat. Oh, cool. She's definitely. Oh wow, that's awesome. Look at that, and it made the dragons continuous too, right? So if you click that image, this prompt here, I'll show, and we'll go through the others. I get too excited when you guys do this. I just really curious what you end up doing. So if we look at one of these that we really like, let's just do the top right one here. Sylvester Stallone. We'll do the top right one. And we see that I troll for you expanded out and wrote a skull possessed being tossed. Oh, tossed. You probably misspelled that. Okay, so I'm gonna look at this here now. An easy hack for this is just to hit the make square button, right? But one of the tricks that I find being the most useful for this is to really just flip aspect ratios. So I'll do like custom zoom. I'll set the zoom to 1, again, making sure that the resolution doesn't drop much at all. Okay. And then we just switch this to 3:2 instead of like a 2:3 or a vertical. We do wide, and then I'm just gonna hit submit on that. That's going to force only the left and right sides of this to fill in. So okay, so Legal Beagle said, "Wait, say that again about your pan flow," and I literally wrote what you said to write. Okay, awesome. Well, I'm glad you wrote it. And they tell AI users to hold a pencil. Come on, come on. But what I mostly want to emphasize when it comes to panning is that the if you include image references or your character references inside of the pan, it will oftentimes include the background information too, like the white background canvas of the characters, and you can avoid this entirely by in painting the image references over a word only prompt. So I'll show you guys that real quick here. So let's see here. I'm just gonna. You guys are already going nuts on this. This is fun. But I mostly want to first just get over what I was saying here really quick. So with the make square, it largely finishes like the comic itself. Like it tends to add borders and frames to things and makes it so that if you wanted to, now pan to the right, you might get a whole other page, right? Or at least a half of page and then go from there. But if we now look at the one where I did it at 3:2, now, because of the even aspect ratios, right, we're getting almost whole frames on every part of the image. And if you look at the top left here, it's basically like a storyboard layout, right? You can have a whole sort of discussion with the dragon that's happening here. Just with the top left result, in my opinion. So many cool things you can make with this kind of outpainting process. So we're gonna let you guys go nuts with this for a minute. There's already plenty of things. So let's see from Princess Lux here. We got pulling out a treasure map. Ooh. And you could see that oftentimes your intent isn't really understood, right? Like there is no pulling out of a treasure map shown anywhere here. But it could easily be re-rolled and found. There's a little bit of one. I guess it's kind of in her hand here, but it the what really comes to me is the reactions and expressions that we get out of this. That's really where we get a lot more, I guess like control over this stuff. But yeah, I just for character direction, like character work, getting really look at that. Like she looks really cool in this. Now she's a little more modern, right? But I oftentimes am working with this stuff in post. Like I'm bringing this stuff into Photoshop and cleaning it up afterward. A lot of color correction goes into that usually. So yeah, I just want to show you guys this to start, because it lets us be able to at least understand how I want to be able to explore um, these spaces, because a lot of the big misconception here is that we're just photo bashing a bunch of existing images, and we're not. What we're doing is math. we're doing a deductive or predictive reasoning of what the next line should be, and this uses that to the fullest extent, at least right now with current Midjourney stuff. And we're all working with Niji right here, so this is all version 5. I'll show you how we can use version 6 with this next. But there you go. This comic will be coming out on Monday as well, so stay tuned on Reddit for that. I'm gonna swap on over to Legal Beagle here, because I see he said that's the missing piece of the puzzle. Yes. I recognize that there's a little bit of confusion about when to use image prompts and blending and all that kind of stuff. Um, it really does come down to the just recognizing that your image prompts are incredibly powerful. If you're going to pan with them, they're going to look a lot like the image references. It'll include the backgrounds. It'll do everything like that. But what I'm going to do here is pull up my the original generation that spawned off of this one here, so you guys can see where she started, how I got her and created her, because this is a character stream. So let's get into characters here really quick. So I'll go to VC Create. I'm gonna do /show. I already have the job ID, so I'm pasting that now. This is how you can make characters continuous in Midjourney without making a character sheet, by the way. So this is relatively new. I'm going to be amending my tutorial to include this workflow. This is like basically like a cheat sheet for this, because we're essentially working with an existing prompt, right? So this was the very first thing that I had gotten when I let's see, I said angry tiefling, clockwork goggles, fawn horn, her. Notice that there's no images inside of this prompt at all. The only thing I did here was I then upresed her, and then I inpainted my image references, right? That included like the full bodies and everything from another tiefling character that I was working on. And what we ended up with was being able to basically just zoom out and we get the rest of the character. So if it does the same thing it did before, she'll be wearing much more like a poncho, as opposed to the kind of like, you know, now I will say, as a little kind of nod here, I'm gonna open this up in Photoshop so that you guys get the first page of the comic, because I do want to have a little bit of at least a little bit of story for you, at least how I have this portrayed here. So let me just crop this down real quick. Yes. Now, also, this is not the final version of it. I should say there'll probably be another amendment or two on this, but it's good enough to share right now. So it's the first out of 5 pages. And I'll call this sample. Okay. So I'll post it inside of VC text here. Because if I don't post it in VC text, you guys will just simply not see it. It'll go by too fast. Um, all right. So if you if you recognize what like what I'm kind of going for here, um, the I really wanted her to be a because you know everyone hates lawyers. I think that's a universal thing, right? Like it's just kind of like I think the only people who don't hate lawyers are lawyers, right? So like I was kind of joking on the idea of like, okay, legal beagle, hey. I'm trying to usurp I'm trying to usurp this fact, okay? The everyone doesn't like a lawyer that's not on their side. Let's put it that way. The and morbidly obese spider said I like lawyers. Um I was said was like okay. I was like okay, real estate agents. You know, so I made her a real estate agent. I'm just gonna give you guys that little bit of this here. So, how do you like your new secret lair? Honestly, not a fan. Oh no, what's wrong with it? That's all I'm gonna give you guys for now. Okay. But I really wanted she looks like a real estate agent to me. Honestly, like that's where I went with this. So I'm curious to see where you all go with it. Cool. Um, now, uh, yes, I'll hire Legal Beagle. That's what I'll do. He's your go-to lawyer. Let's do an ad for Legal Beagle. Legal Beagle and Associates. What program do you use to finish your comic? Photoshop also? Yes, yes, I use Photoshop to finish everything. And that's mostly because I've been an Adobe kid for well over 20 years. It's been my go-to program for just about everything when it comes to being a presence online and everything else too. It's just my work and yeah, especially my work. um, let's see here. Uh, I'm gonna move on here real quick. So it's cool to see that when we do some of the expansions, right? Sometimes you don't get panels, right? And the that's okay. Like you get some really neat results sometimes, but you know, sometimes that can be kind of upsetting, right? But there's one really cool thing that you can do. Once you do have one of these zoom outs that kind of works out for you. Okay. Let's first find the one where I told it to zoom out of her because I need to show you guys the different outfits and stuff. Okay. All right. This is the wacky zoom out that we got from this one. If you notice this, she's got like lambs, goats, there's like all sorts of crazy horns and things going on here. So let's just say like we were really into the goats or something like that. Like we just really like that. Or we really like this close up that's here. Maybe we want to influence from this hat and close up with the glasses. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna upres that one, the one with the glasses and the horns. Okay. And now I'm gonna do vary region. Okay, so we're gonna start in painting here. And I'm going to make a box that makes sure that it's kind of like in the middle between the breaks of the comics, just making sure it's in the middle there. Then I'm replacing all of the text with just comic panel. This will mean that the image, it doesn't refer to what I'm covering. It'll just be like, it'll just look at what I like about this, and then we'll see what the results are of that. Most likely, we won't get the tiefling character anymore. It may be able to understand that because of the horns, but we'll just have to see what kind of comes up with that. So what is it? Legal Beagle said comic panels entering the multiverse glowing blue Niji. The and you'll notice here that the when you go too far, when you go like really far, you can see how small the original images are here. There's just not enough information for it to understand like the interrogation part of it, like the context of it inside of the comic. So that's what's happening here. But we're almost ready for this in paint here. Sorry about that. All right. Character consistent with Victor Gnarly or how to use zoom and in painting to set mid journey in inherent creativity to expand your ideas beyond your own imagination. Yeah, right. It is really wicked, like how far you can go in terms of like original storytelling with just this alone. Um, in terms of being able to kind of explore different worlds and stuff, 100%, 100%, this could be used for that. So if you notice here, what I changed from the in paint suddenly turned it into like a full comic panel, right? We now have white borders on all the paneling and so on and so forth. I kind of like the bottom left one. Let's explore that one really quick. And again, I won't be able to see everything you guys do, but I do scroll through the streams afterward, like towards the end of the stream, and we go through the comics that way, like everything you guys make. So if I don't see it right away, don't worry, I will eventually see it. There's some really cool angles you guys are already getting with this one. So let's go ahead and hit custom zoom here before everyone kind of zooms past me here. I'm going to switch the zoom to 1. Again, this is what's most important is that when you're zooming, right? If you zoom at 1, it's going to be the most accurate when it comes to understanding what's inside of the image before it does the outpaint, okay? And because we're at an aspect ratio of 3:2, we're just going to flip it. 2 and then 3. Essentially forcing the most amount of outpaint with the least amount of zoom, at least for this exact panel here. Let's see here. Oh, we got a cute close up from Ancient. Comic panels, too many lawyers. Comic panels. Oh, is this the Hell's lawyer? And it kind of looks like a merge of the two. That's funny. I love this close up though. That close up is awesome. I'm gonna boop. I have to boop that one. Okay. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And yeah, it looks like she's being possessed by lawyers on the bottom right here. So, I just it's an Adventure Time episode, right? It's like episode 2 where it's just like the lawyers come out of the ocean. They're all like just an animal or something. I forgot the exact plot of it, but it is funny. Um Big old googly eyes. This one is from Brandon MC. And you could see that like as we like kind of get deeper and deeper into your all stuff here, we really want to see what the like the like where we could take the characters of the scene, right? So I'm thinking that like one of the funnest things I like to do is to make characters just do things they don't normally or wouldn't look normally doing, right? So let's what okay. What is the stupid like Harry Potter spell name for making things float? Like just I know that there's a Harry Potter nerd somewhere in the chat here that can say that real quick. Okay, wait, yeah. Leviosa.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Perfect. Perfect. What we could do, okay, is I'm gonna click on my link back here. If you guys get lost, by the way, you could just scroll up and hit the VC create link that the message link here, and that will just shoot you back to the starting prompt here. But what I'm gonna do is go to custom zoom, switch it to 1, and then we're gonna do 1-3 just to force those panels real good. But instead of the text, I'm gonna put comic panels spontaneous levitation. This will essentially turn your characters into like 0G mixed with superheroes. Like it's a really fun prompt, but you have to make sure you spell spontaneous correctly first. Hold on. There you go. Okay. So I'll scroll back down all the way here. Let that load up. And you could see the cool environments and places. And look, she's got a skull head now and stuff. It's real neat. Just how far we can go with this. But let's go ahead and look at this one that actually is the one where we flipped the aspect ratios and zoomed out. You can see here we started getting an interaction of them like side by side, shoulder to shoulder, right? What we can do is we can go, well, man, I really like that, but we're missing the tiefling character now. Like, oh no, it's missing. So I can upres that and then go to one of the ones that we really like. Let's grab ancients here. And I'm just going to do a very simple kind of hacky thing, honestly. And I'm going to use the snipping tool inside of Windows. Anything that can take a screen cap will be fine for this as long as you're able to crop it down to mostly the subject you're aiming for. I have this now snipped. You can see it floating behind me. It's all snipped. I'm going to copy that, come back to VC Create. I'm going to post it in VC Create and then grab the link of that. Okay. And let's go to the prompt that I upresed. Go to Vary Region. I'm going to now post the link, the URL for that little snip that I just did. And even though it's the back of her head and all this stuff, like it won't be that accurate in terms of like the result that we may get out of this. We also might be able just to get it with it, you know? So one of the things is that whenever you're doing this sort of image prompting stuff, I tend to find it to be pretty useful to try it in batches, like to try a couple different approaches. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to submit it. See that it immediately says, all right, DG5 is going to need a word in there, right? So I'm just going to say back of head. hopefully reinforcing that I don't want to see a face. And now, because the very region is saved inside of there, I can actually go ahead and just now add codes and then keep rendering them. This is going to maybe eat up some of your fast hours if you do it this way, but let's first set a high image weight of 2 and see what we get with that. And then we can also grab the original text prompt, which is red tiefling, red skin tiefling, and we can adjust the word prompt to make sense for this image. Like if we just copy and paste it, it doesn't make sense, right? It's a silhouette, and we're looking at the backside of the head. So instead, we'll add red, white hair, black horns, tiefling, and we might get an interesting angle out of that too. The other thing you need to also understand about this is that if we do include any kind of what do you call it? If we include any kind of words or before or after our links, they're considered like a multi-prompt at that point. It separates them out. So we really need to make sure that we experiment, and we experiment like heavily in different directions, because the image references are going to be super finicky about like basically the neighboring information inside of our in paints here. Each one of these results is probably going to give us back a hat, right? So what I'm going to do is, once this last one renders here, we literally have hats in all of them. So this might be pretty easy to fix actually. So let's take the one where we set the image weight pretty high. So this one here. Go back, very region. And now I'm going to put a negative prompt for hat. The main problem with this is that we did so much in painting when we were removing the panel, we ended up deleting, the crucial bit of the image that included her, right? And we're trying to bring some of that back by in painting it. But if all else fails when it comes to image prompting, because of like there's just too much influence from the neighboring image, the only real options we have is either to make a much larger in painting area, or to basically backtrack and figure out what we did wrong. You can also work with a word only prompt. So let's go back up to here, go up to very region, make that a little bit bigger again here, and then I'm going to remove the image prompt entirely. Make sure that no what is it that the we have image weights removed, just because we have no images in there. It doesn't matter. Like a lot of times I find it that it literally does not matter for if you leave the image weight code in there and there's no images. That doesn't really affect it. But we can, while that's rendering here, let's take a look at some of your all's comic panels. Tea Party, throwing Tea Party, tea everywhere. I do think that there is a limit to this in terms of how much information you can really tell it, right? So like let's see, I troll for you here. He is like zooming out in stages, and by doing that you can feed it information for your comic, right? Like panel by panel by panel. Now there's this really weird mindset that you have to be in when doing this, which is you have to be thinking of both the past and the future at the same time. Because when you're outpainting, like basically predicting the moment just before and the moment just after. Okay, but in Photoshop you can rearrange these panels however you want. It's just when it comes to like the logic of assembling this stuff, it can be a little confusing. Let's take a look at some of this stuff here. Where's the thing I was telling you guys about though? Here it is. Yeah. Oh, we got it. We got it. We got it. We got it. So I'll hit up res here. We got it because we deleted the image reference entirely. We wrote the words that we were describing of what we wanted. Okay. And we got her back right here. So you notice that the The fact that it was able to do a hair cutoff at the same length, even though I didn't indicate any length of hair or anything like that, I think that has to do with the fact that everything that we've done before, that I did before on this prompt, is actually kind of preserved inside the image somewhere in terms of the code, right? So when I redescribe it, even though we don't see a white hair tiefling anywhere inside of this image originally, if I just start to redescribe it, it goes and just clicks everything back together. That's that in my experience, that's what happens. Okay. Now let's make the tiefling look at him, right? This is where our image code, our image link here will come back in handy. If we built a whole character sheet for her, this would go a lot faster too, just because we would be able to say, all right, give me a close up of her and just use that as a comic panel in Paint, that kind of thing. But I'm going to come up here and we're going to hit vary region again. But because we have so much similar information in here, and we do want her to actually look at the camera at some point in here. So let me zoom out the best I can here. I'm having a little bit of issues doing this inside of the browser version of Discord. In fact, let me swap on over here. I got to swap back to proper Discord and do it here. Jump to present. Let's open up the text here and see what you guys are saying. And I'm back. Okay. Just to kind of quickly indicate what I'm doing here. I am just grabbing a general area that is like where her face would be, right? And you want to make sure that you inpaint anywhere that would make sense that we need to change it. This includes shadows, especially. Shadows and highlights. They tend to direct your final result a lot more than people anticipate. All right, so we have an area selected here for her. I'm just going to now post the link. That's the link to a reference of her face, and I'm just going to give an act like an emotion. So let's say angry. Let's just say that she's angry here, and then we'll submit that. Hi Vicky. Yes. I am. What is it? I do have a gender bent OC named Vicky, who's on the Sage and Michael comics too. It's a lot of fun to have the like the gender bent Freaky Friday stuff going on. It just I do plan on making a VTuber for her too, so it'll be fun. It's good to see you, Boken. Wingardium Leviosa. Yeah, thank you so much for getting the appropriate Harry Potter thing in there. So yeah, okay. We can now pop on over to VC Create. Take a look at what we did. So it is currently rendering. And right now we're doing this off of one image, okay, of her, which means that there's going to be a lot of diversity in how it can interpret that one image. If we did like a oh, hold on. You guys ever actually touring a house? Hold on a second. That's funny. Oh wow. She's in like an apartment building. Hi. You here to see Unit 12? Yeah, okay. That's hilarious. Okay. So I want to show you guys this now. Because we did the in paint with the face, look at that. We got her looking. She's not angry here, but she is looking towards camera. She's a little like kind of, like you could say like kind of a spooky anger here. I would say that's kind of anticipating. And the other two did not work, but the fact that the first two worked meant that you could just re-roll this as far as you want to go to make whatever character that's here. Okay. So we can even go farther, like say like we know, oh, there's a blonde tiefling kind of, horned character here. We can then just in paint around her hair here and say, okay, make that blonde now. And it will, based on the neighboring image, it'll probably look like the same blonde. So there you go. That lets you immediately like in paint with the images. But just to kind of touch back on the thing that Legal Beagle was saying, in terms of it being the missing piece, the the important thing to recognize, at least, okay, you could look at it like this. It's a wax on, wax off approach. When you start off with your word only prompt, we can do this with the V6 tutorial here. So I'm going to create a whole new kind of setup for you guys here with V6. Okay, but we'll use Vic as a base model for what we end up injecting into. So let's just say, I do have a new favorite V6 prompt for specifically getting Wizard Vic. Okay, and that is Goth Wizard. I'll so I'll just say, let's say, you know shooting lightning, not shooting light. I always end up going for like the hardcore edgy thing. I want to do something a little more mundane. Let's do, actually, let's get it from you guys. What mundane regular thing should, and don't say eating, please. Like anything but eating. Just because it works, but it's usually horrific, and I have to parse through then potentially hundreds of eating photos. Sorting his junk drawer. Okay, I could do that. Knitting. Oh, knitting. Yes, knitting. Crocheting and knitting. That would be great. Sniffling flowers. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna try knitting. I think knitting might be fun, and we could probably take advantage of some of, And I see Senior Carlos said reading newspapers, but I'm gonna say Goth Wizard knitting. In an open field of flowers, and then AR32. I have a feeling that Princess Lux is gonna love this. Oh, and I can immediately tell Rhapsody is getting involved in this in paint here, because like in terms of making characters and injecting them in there, I mean, she gets it. You know what I mean? Like, this is like so cool to immediately see like a character I recognize from her. By the way, I recognize her character, even though it doesn't look like her character necessarily yet. It I go, oh, okay, yes, I know that that's Rhapsody. So, eventually, you guys will all have your own personas. By the way, I know that that's coming. Everyone has their own little code written, um, persona that you can just prompt and like inject into other people's stuff here on Midjourney. I don't know the social, direction that will end up going in here, but I'm so excited. Look at this! It just made Death in the Flowers, and it's so pretty. All of these compositions are gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I really like all of these, honestly. I could see Victor probably injecting the best into the bottom right one, but I think we should probably do a couple of these because they do look really good. So I'm gonna first do the first one and the fourth one. And the thing is that for anyone who's new here, and I'm just gonna kind of leave this open here so that I can see what you guys are saying here. Uh, the main thing is, if you are new here, there is most of my tutorial is focused on, teaching you how to make character sheets, how to make these continuous characters inside of Midjourney. And I'm going to ask, Kinky to link this here. But if you go to my website, and click on Movie Machine at the top here, that's a tutorial guide. And everything in my curriculum is written down here. So if you guys really just want to like skip ahead and do this on your own time, I mean, I've seen someone blaze through this and it still took them 3 days to kind of fully, knock out every, you know, uh, every little detail, in terms of what, my filmmaking approach to Midjourney. And it is something that I do think that many people here would still benefit from, if you're, even if it's some of the information's a little old now. So, like, some of it's still V4, I get it, but I am improving and updating this, including how to save your characters inside of Midjourney is now inside the tutorial. So, yeah, we evolved together, right, Boken? But if you click on saving your character inside of the outline summary here, um, you can then, see the exact step by step for saving your characters as soon as you have them as these character sheets here. So, just know if you use a bunch of random images, you're not following my tutorial. You need to start from the beginning. And the coolest thing is that if you do know how to draw, I know I get that that might be a smaller populace here, but if you do know how to draw, even if it's like very basic skills of perspective and shading and stuff, you're going to be so much more ahead of everyone else. Oh my God. You're going to be able to do so much more than everybody. And the reason why is because the first chapter of this tutorial focuses on how to make original character turnarounds. But if you're able to draw them, guess what? You can do dynamic changes on your own. You don't need to run this workflow every time you need to make um, like an original character. You could like say, okay, I need that character to be grabbing something. I'm just going to do a quick little drawing pose of that character grabbing something, and then you can use that as the injection method, and it's so cool. Um, I'll dig into some of the other stuff in terms of how to do the drawing it directly into Midjourney. There's a YouTube video on that on my YouTube as well. But I just really want to emphasize to you guys that everything's here. So if you feel like yeah I'm kind of blazing through stuff and you're not seeing it, it's because it's here. Okay, let's pop back over here. Um, and I'm going to first try to inject Victor into there. And I can see Princess Lux immediately put the flower there on that. Okay. So let's do um we'll do first a variation strong, and then I'm going to write my code for Vic. This is the code that I have for Fantasy Victor, and he's saved in here. Because there is not a silhouette of a witch hat or a wizard hat, I guess. This is a witch hat, by the way. I'm gonna be like, yes, I'm a witch. But if I now hit variation subtle and then I add Vic in there as well, it'll probably not work as well because that silhouette is so dramatically different. But we're gonna do that on both and see what happens. This is called, at least how I call it, it's called an injection, where every time I am including all of Vic's image references all at once as either a variation subtle or variation strong, that is a injection. And we're going to see the results of that. And then after the injection, after you guys see what a pure V6 injection can do, we will then convert it to Niji, because V6 is going to let us get the really dynamic compositions, but then Niji will let us get all of our tools and buttons back that we're used to here. So first we'll do the variation strong of Vic in the forested flowers, and you can see just how good these look. It works. It just simply works. It just understands every little part of my character here with the cricket hat and everything else. And it understands that because every one of these pictures that are inside of here is a unique image. It is a unique image of the same character. And that's what's so important about doing the turnarounds is that the common mistake is that people just grab the same image and change the face. And you're actually canceling stuff out by doing that. You need to have every image be unique. Okay? They need to be unique, but they need to be the same character. So as good of a character designer as you are, it really matters for this. So now that we have this, though, say I really like this fourth one here, which I do. I do like that kind of dead flower that's dying in his hand as he holds it. That's pretty cool and a little trophy, but it's there. And you can see some of the other results. This is like the variation strong of the one in the flowers is also really pretty. I do like the kind of pondering in the flowers here. Um, but you could see the variation subtle where things start to fall apart. We do have a lot better results than we would have gotten in V5, keep in mind. But you could see that without the silhouette of the hat, look what happens to the hat and the head. It's just poof, gone. And I'll up-res the second one for a friend of mine because he really thinks that Victor should also be like a no face at some point. And I think it's a little too it's a little too Final Fantasy for me, but whatever. But I'm gonna show you guys this here now. So this is the variation subtle, I believe, of the one with the flowers. So you can see that even though variation subtle is quite good, it definitely does a lot of really wonky stuff when it comes to trying to shove two silhouettes together. So what I'm gonna do is up-res some of my favorites of here. So I'm gonna say this one and this one. Yeah, I'm going to say those are good here. Out of the ones that I up-resed, we can do a couple of things. But I first want to show you guys something. We're going to go back to the original prompt. We're going to now do both we're going to do both an injection and a style transfer. Okay? So by hitting variation strong, we put in the image code for Vic in here. But now instead of V6, I am going to add Niji. I'm just going to replace V6 with Niji. And then I'll also do it with subtle on just this one image so we can compare the two. But the reason I'm showing you guys this is because what I find at least coming up the most often for me is that I get some really great hold on the composition by basically doing a style transfer back to Niji if I do it early. Okay? So, for example, let's try this one here. I'm just going to take this result where it's still an image prompt. It has all the images inside of here. And I'm just going to replace that with Niji instead. Let's compare that result versus the one where we did it earlier. And I could see that Legal Beagle's trying to bring back the lightning powers. I appreciate that. Okay, all right. This is from Brandon Mack. It's a long prompt here. Goth wizard with short black hair wearing a black witch's hat and a black button-up shirt with the top button missing and rolled up sleeves to the elbow, sitting in a rocking chair, knitting a sweater. I didn't even get to knitting yet. That's right. Let's take a look at this. We got the knitting on the third one here. I really like the second one though. I like anything that gets a little bit kind of like a mystic, right? Like shamanism kind of stuff. It's always fun to see like dangly doodads on collars and stuff. But what we can do is we can click into there, and we can also inject into this one. Why not? Let's see what happens. Vic, and then I'll do a style transfer just right off the bat on that. There we go. We'll let those render. And I have noticed this, especially with a ton of images. I am currently working on a character that has 52 image links. Okay, 52. There's not even enough space inside the Discord like prompt, like the application prompt when it says that it's processing it. It goes like, I can't show you all the links, but they're all here, I promise. So like, it's kind of amazing, just how many are in there. And it's all because this character is the action hero of the story that we'll be telling here, and I'll be unveiling that later on, not today. But we need a lot of action poses. We need a lot of stuff swiping and jumping and all sorts of stuff like that. 52 images is a ton. You only really need 3 to 5 to do this like minimum, in my opinion. All right, let's check out this. Let's check out some of these variations here. So this one was the one where we did both a style transfer and an image injection at the same time. Look at this. We preserved the composition, but we got this like absolutely gorgeous like level of coherency. That's what I'm mostly pulling up here, guys, is just like I can easily inpaint minor fixes into this and it's done. It doesn't need any work to this, really. Amazing stuff. And if I now compare that to the subtle, right? That was also a style transfer. So we added Neji and we did it as a subtle instead. You could see, yeah, we got some pretty cool stuff, like some pretty nice big hands in this one, some pretty purple flowers, and a couple others. But the reality is that the subtles are far less like, you're never going to bring it back to the character like that. You're going to see random stuff happen that you may like, but for the most part, it's variation strong is how you retain characters inside of V6, especially when converting back to V5. So you can see this is the one we did with Princess Lex here, and yes, I like Frumpy Victor on the top left. That's pretty cute. And this is with his style code, by the way. This is awesome that she did it style transfer with his style code. And his style code tends to be like it'll always make the character have red eyes and be more like white, big thick, or just white eyes and big thick eyeshadow. So it really encourages that look. Very cool. Um, this is another variation subtle. You could see this is probably the one where we just did it as a Niji as transfer alone. You could tell that because there's it just looks worse, right? So like I find it to just be better if you are going to do a variation subtle, just to double back to the V6 prompt. That's the main thing when it comes to working with V6 is that I'm usually double backing to the original prompt and seeing what I get. Um, okay, and then into Brandon Max cowboy sitting shot. I love the necklaces and collars and stuff, but I gotta go with the second one here. And the reason that we can now, benefit from doing the Niji transfer here, there's a little bit of weird stuff with his arm here, but the main benefit is we get all of our controls back again right down here. Okay. So this is an easy one. We should be able to just hit make square. And with the borders on it, we can actually take advantage of those too and make those a comic panel as well. Um, for the first time, you guys should finally get excited about seeing black bars show up in your prompts because it'll make the comic panel prompt more likely to populate something you want. So yay. Let's take a look at what you guys are saying here while we are getting through this here because I definitely want to talk to you guys here for a minute. See, V6 is superior to Styles. I like how knitting adds a chair. Right, right. I cannot wait until we can do /tune on V6. That's gonna be awesome.
There's
Probably a
something
little.
that might be even better coming.
Ooh, even better than /tune.
Yes.
Oh, getting me excited now. Well, get it ready for next week. I'm sure Bay will be super excited to play around with any new toys. Yeah, I am stoked to hear more when we can. But the key thing is that when it comes to V6, I just really like it for its compositions. It's gonna be really cool to be able to um you know not just control like line weights and all the stuff that /tune really like hints at doing. Like it does a pretty good job if you make smart selections. But we've also run into issues of people not really understanding like when it comes to like the diversity of the images, like image prompts particularly, it actually heavily limits the results of your /tune. If you want real diversity in your tune, you probably want to use word only prompts in order to kind of really see all the potential different ways Midjourney can understand your prompt, or really at least reinterpret your prompt. It's if you want to use it the way I use it though, I'm using image prompts and I'm doing it for a very specific reason. Let's see. Let's see here. Ooh, better from Kinky. Yep. I'm stoked too. Let's see here. The let's see. We have from Fulgmancer here. It is amazing indeed. Yeah. I tend to like V6 a lot for basically posing my characters and then moving on. Like, you know what I mean? Like I because I do so much stuff inside of Midjourney, I'm really missing those tools. So let's see here. Okay. Cool. And I see your other comments too, Boken and whatnot. I'm gonna move on for now though, but let's see here. Inside of VC Create, I want to actually see what kind of comics you guys have been up to. And then we'll zoom out on some of these live action ones too. Because the thing is, guys, is that we've been doing this on comics, right? I didn't really want to really get into this, but it works on people too. So have fun with that information. It does work. I've gotten one or two people to kind of be somewhat continuous by just zooming out and saying that they are the subject of a comic, and then going from there. So we have all these different mushroomy, let's see, fungal mancer. Okay. So I want to say too, if you're one of the witches and one of the wizards from Wizard Postings, I really appreciate you coming by and hanging out. Um I have an idea, and you're kind of inspiring it with these ones here, guys. So Azteca and Brandon Mack and Fungal Mancer, you guys are inspiring an idea. This is a little spontaneous here, so let's see what we get with this. I'm gonna quickly open up the black box here so that you guys. Ooh, let's. I'll leave the stream banner up. I'll let you guys be able to read that. Super exciting news if you just joined in. The creature facial lead for Gollum and many of the monsters from the original Lord of the Rings trilogies will be joining my next stream. So if you guys want to check that out, just make sure you join next Friday. Super exciting stuff. But I mostly want to pull up here something from Reddit, actually. So I don't know what it is about the internet right now when it comes to like AI and everything else. But I guess we're in a wizard renaissance right now. Everyone really likes wizards. It's just that's the thing everyone's really into right now. And I'm all about it too. Obviously I am. I wouldn't be dressed the way I am if I wasn't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link something inside of VC text here. And this is the mega thread for the voting of basically the admins of wizard postings. Okay. What I want you guys to do, just for fun, this is not meant to be anything like, serious or whatever. You can pick a wizard. Now keep in mind, these are real people. Every one of these are real users that are in here. I want you to pick a wizard and make them an OC, like make them somebody, right? And you can look at their profiles to get an idea of who they are. But all of these wizards here are confirmed wizards. What that means is that they're all people who have personas on the subreddit that they like. There's just all sorts of silly things that people do here, and so feel free to have fun and find your favorite wizard to vote on for the Wizard Council, and maybe we'll get their attention by making a bunch of OCs for them, right? So you can basically, and I'm just going to open this up so it's a little more wider. You can see, and yeah, something like that. If you click on any of their kind of posts here, you'll see a submission from them. It's mostly AI art. I will admit a lot of this is already AI. But let's take this guy for example. Thomas here. He says his main platform centers around greatly limiting the ability of the council to regulate or ban magical forms, and instead focuses on the efforts of magical governance where it belongs, encouraging, promoting, and finding new research and scholarship into the unknown realms. Plus, I'll bring back testicular torsion. Vote for me. Okay. So, yes, and I'll just say that now that spell is banned on the subreddit for now. It's just people are real obnoxious about using it, so they did a global ban on it. So let's go ahead and we could take this guy, copy that, come back to VC Create here, post his image. Okay. And now I'm going to ask for a let's just do a /describe on that. Whoop. We're going to see what we get off of this. It's probably going to be like, Gentleman Pirate Man or something like that. Let's see. And if you want to just kind of speed run this, you can just hit the Imagine All button and see what we get. If we get anything close right off the bat, it'll be nice. But the main thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing I would consider a version 2 or an upgrade of my movie machine tutorial. Rhapsody and a few other people have gotten previews of this already, but it's an in-painting technique that wasn't available when I first wrote the tutorial. So we'll see how this kind of comes out here. While that's rendering though, I can see that you guys are going basically full Invader Zim when it comes to some of the silhouette characters, and I'm all about that, by the way. I'm all about these kind of like talking to skulls, and I have been brought up with what is it? Felix the Cat, actually. Felix the Cat is a movie that's not that great, but it's such a fun animation for my childhood. Like my memory of it is so fun. Felix the Cat has its problems, but I really did enjoy the kind of spookier elements of the movie. So this kind of reminds me of the the headless screechers, the banshees in that movie. Very cool. So we can now take a look at the 4 results as they come in. So this first one here, he has a hat, right? But it's kind of the right outfit. This one's a little closer. He's like Fabio here. But we can kind of see why is just by comparing the wording, like the differences. And slash describe doesn't really get me the exact prompt that I want, but it does let me compare the differences between certain wording and phrasing of things. So for example, let's open up just so we have it in reference here. This is him. So I'm gonna pull this to the side. Leave that dashingly behind me. Let's just put him right there. That's good enough. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is find the one that's kind of closest. I would say like yeah, it's probably this one here. I'll probably say that's good. We're gonna select that one. And then I'm gonna write in what's missing from it. Just so we could start off with a V6, kind of superiority when it comes to this. So we're gonna say big mustache, older man, and beard. And long hair, right? You don't really see a lot of older gentlemen with long hair like that. Most of people that get to that age are like, you know how much hassle it is to deal with hair? Just cut it off. I'm loving all these goth wizards and the flowers. It's so. This is 100% something that I would have done when I was a teen and stuff. I would have just been like, I'm the spooky kid who's hiding in plain sight. Let's go ahead and see what we get for just trying to get the silhouette closer before we inject the character into there. Okay. And we're already closer, like that top left one as it's rendering. I can tell. All right. And the beard mustache could be bigger, blah 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 blah. It's fine. We're just gonna copy this. Copy the URL for the original image. Then I'm gonna do a variation on that now and add that image in there. You can notice the only thing that I did was I went to the slash describe and I just added words to the front of it that were missing from like key characteristics. Yes, the wizard president. Yes, I like this. This is hilarious. But what we're gonna get out of it anyway is hopefully we're gonna be able to have a wizard duel between these guys, and they're just gonna wake up one day and be like, "Wait a minute, what?" You know what I mean? Like, I just think it's so funny to be able to make our own stories like this, and have people just be able to just react to it. Here, I need to wait for my result. It's coming through. I'm gonna grab a drink here real quick. I'll be back in about 30 seconds.
How's everybody doing? I'm looking at you all in the chat. Did anyone do anything cool this week? Hello. I'm good. I want a wizardent. I think that it's probably going to be better than any president that we have or will have in the past, present, or near future. We definitely need a wizard for president. Are there any running this year? Let's not talk about politics.
I don't think so, but if you're going with real wizards, there might be some security concerns with that.
If there was a wizard running for president, which famous wizard would you want?
Ooh. Hard choice.
Definitely not the Wizard of Oz. That guy's kind of sneaky. Dumbledore,
I mean,
Gandalf.
Merlin has a track record in politics.
That's true. All right, Merlin. The vote has been.
I have a vote too. It's
Tell us.
it's the owl from Secrets of Nim. I think that's like my
Ooh.
favorite wizard. He's technically a
What should I
wizard.
say? Who? All right, I'm off the stage.
Well, thank you so much for filling in while I got my sippies in. I appreciate that.
Of course.
Also check out Prompt Battles, guys. What is it, Saturday and Sunday now?
Saturday and Sunday now. Yes.
Awesome.
I'll
Yeah,
be
it's a
dropping the
great
banners
place.
in the chat shortly.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's a great place to learn how all sorts of people are doing prompts because they're all being challenged to do things very, very fast. So you can just absorb a bunch of information quickly. Definitely recommend going.
And you get to hang out with me.
Yeah.
All right.
All
I'll
right.
be quiet now.
So I'm going to now bring up my prompt here. We have the dude basically here. It's pretty impressive how far it's how close we got just right off of that. I'm going to say the third one. Okay. Now I'm going to see if we can do this as a character turnaround. Okay. So I'll say this. I'll do a variation of this, but I'm going to add white background and just leave that to the front of the prompt. Remember that if you add words to the front of the URL, it actually separates it into a multi-prompt. So if you want to basically see different results, you can even just write the wording after the link and write white background at the front of the prompt, making it the most powerful thing in that prompt. Multi-prompts are kind of hard to explain because they don't really look at that. That's awesome. That Fungal Wizard is knocking it out of the park when it comes to making this this scene here. That's super cool. I wonder what kind of powers I'm going to get from eating that. So you could see here that we didn't get the result that we wanted right off the bat when it came to getting a white background out of this. So we might convert it to Niji to to really see what we get here. Yeah, I'm gonna already, because I can kind of tell based on these results from the early renders of it that we aren't going to get the white backgrounds that I want necessarily. So I'm gonna re-roll this, but then I'm gonna add Niji at the end of it. And then I'm going to re-roll this again and write 5.2 on it. I'm really trying to get my controls back because I will need in-painting to show you guys this really, really neat trick. And we can get one that's mostly white and it'll work. So we'll see what happens here. Let a couple of these render here. All right, cool. So you could see here that we got one that was like largely empty white space. I would say that probably the top left one's the best for this. I'll up-res it. And for now, I'm just going to do an in-paint and see if we can get rid of a lot of this background here, just to see if it's possible. I'm going to delete all the information inside of here, except for white background. Then I'm just going to highlight around the character, making sure that I do not include any of the background at all in what I am highlighting here. Even if it ends up cutting off the hair, we want to make sure that we do not include the background at all. You can see as I come in and around, I have now selected all the background. Come back into here and do the same. Even little bits of white that show up, you want to kind of make sure you select those because that may influence and create a background in there. So let's just submit this and see if it looks awful or not. Ideally, what we want to end up doing is having a pretty clean character standing in front of a white background. It doesn't have to be white though. It could be at any sort of like neutral or blank color. What we want to avoid though is a lot of like the highlights and vignettes, which probably is going to happen here. But it's fine. We'll make it work. So I have this. It's a lot simpler of a background. I think this will work. I'm not sure though. We're gonna go with the third one. Again, we didn't get the white background, but we got rid of a lot of the background, which is super important. Now I'm going to do a zoom out of 2 times, just to see if it without changing any of the text, whether we get what we want. I love that you guys are already going ham on this. This is great. Look at this guy. That's great. Look at that fish. Ah, that's so funny.
Hey, Victor.
Yeah.
So Niebuhr is a little lost and missed the new technique. Is there anything that you could briefly
Sure.
tell him or sum it up?
Sure. So basically, neighbors, the main thing that we're trying to get to at this point is we're trying to get a scene that has a character in the center of the frame, but is largely empty or white space in the background. Um, the the thing is that we're starting with V6, right? Which doesn't really get us the white background like character sheets as easily without over describing it, and we may need to do that if this doesn't work out. But the idea that we're trying to do here is we're trying to get us very quickly a usable character inside of Midjourney. And at least in my experience, in painting has been incredibly useful for making this possible. So like, and we're picking one of these wizards at random here, but if I were to really select anybody that has a mostly white background, like let's say yeah, let's do Kinkies here because Kinkies has a mostly white background. This will be a little
On
easier
there
than
again. Nice.
All right, there you go. So we have this here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a custom zoom. And I'm actually just going to we'll just leave it as is for now, but I'm going to hit the zoom to 1 and switch it to 3:2. The only thing I'm trying to encourage is more white space around it. Yes, these fantasy portraits are amazing. Let me upres the one here with this guy, with the wizard dude. So we have that too. I'm going to say the third one, or sorry, the fourth one. And I will also do a custom zoom on this. Again, I'm just trying to open up the amount of space that's around the character. And you'll see why in just a second. It's really exciting as soon as you have the prompt set up for a largely like empty space around it. Any sort of environment tends to kind of fiddle or fudge the results here. So we may not get it out of the wizard character, but I think we're going to get it out of, yes, we will get it out of Kinky's fine. So I'll show you guys this here. I'll do it with Kinky's first because Kinky's will be a lot easier to explain. Okay. So I'm going to upres any one of these. It doesn't really matter which one. Now here's the fun part. We're going to hit vary region in here. And then I'm going to select everywhere that's around the character. Like so. Okay. And then I'm going to switch the wording, all the words in here. Make sure you delete any sort of image prompts at all. Just replace all the wording with multiple expressions, multiple poses. And then I'll get rid of any additional code. So this image weight we can get rid of, and that should be fine. Okay, all right, it's working on Kinkies. Okay, so we're gonna see this render here, and this is gonna be kind of shocking to some of you guys that have been doing this for a while and are like, wait a minute, we can just do that this whole time? Trust me, I felt the same way when I was doing this. If you write multiple expressions, multiple poses, and you do it as an in paint with a character in the center, it refers only to the character in the center. It'll only refer to what's in the center there. So I don't know what sort of magic this is, but it's real magic. Because look at this. Look at all those dramatic, awesome expressions we just got of. And I mean, I'm gonna be real straightforward here, guys. It is incredibly hard to get Midjourney to show proper cleavage, and this is an immediate example of that. So you're welcome.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so
just like to say that I full time wear a wizard hat. I live in Salem, so
oh yeah, that's right, you do. Yeah, this is your permanent outfit right here.
accurate.
Um,
Accurate.
right, right. So, and here's the thing. Okay, what we can do is immediately build a character sheet out of this. Okay, this is how you speed run my tutorial. Before we get into Photoshop, you can also, if you're like not happy with these expressions, you can always re-render it. But we can do a custom zoom now. Set the zoom to 1 so we don't lose any resolution. And it just for the sake of understanding the zoom function there. And then we could set this to like, I don't know, like 5 and then 1. So it's 5 times as wide as it will be tall. And you could see that when you guys already just did straight zoom out 2 times, there's already distortion that applies, but you get so many usable poses just right off the bat because both usable expressions and multiple expressions are inside the prompt. So this is like speed running, honestly, speed running my tutorial. Because
Did you
now,
come up with this by yourself?
I'm sorry,
This is amazing.
this is so
So
good,
good. Did
right?
you? Yeah.
I
Did
did
you just come
discover
up with
this, yeah,
this? Oh my
yeah.
God, you're so cool.
I discovered this 4 days ago, actually. It was 4 or 5 days ago, and it was really funny because I was like, "Hey, um, let me just do this really quick and see if it works," and it did. And I was like, "Holy crap, this is
I get
way
to know
better
all
than
the
it looks."
coolest people.
So I'm gonna get rid of our dude here real quick. Um, yes, Rhapsody. Yes, you were number 3. Out of all the people I did that with. Okay, cool. Yeah, you guys are getting the backgrounds. Good. Good, 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 good. All right, let's do it on this one here because this is from Lizzie. Lizzie's already doing it the right way. I'm just going to immediately convert this using variation subtle to 5.2. No background. That's right. You could do no background. That's right. Okay. So 5.2. And then we'll try a live action one too, because that's the spooky thing, guys, is that I immediately had to see how well it would do on a live action, and it's ridiculous how good it is at doing this too. So with the variation subtle, we need to get to 5.2, right? So we like we're losing a couple of things here and there, but for now, I think the fourth one's fine. It's fine. I'm going to try to make a full body out of them before we do the turnarounds because the multiple poses is really where it's at. Okay. The only reason to keep it at zoom 1 is to keep the accuracy of the result. That's the only reason I recommend that. If you don't do that, you're going to get wildly awesome poses sometimes. But if you notice here, when I switch the zoom to 1, all of these are just slight variations of each other in ways that lets us be able to use them in pretty exciting ways. But the farther out we go, the less accurate to the point where they kind of look like blob people, right? So don't go too far. Don't go too far with your zooms. Otherwise, you're going to see some wonkiness to there. But we will now come into here. All right, let's select. I'm gonna say the third one here. NFT crowdfunding cartoon image. Yeah, try to go make money. Just try it. Just go try to make money with an AI image, right? Yeah, you have to put real time and effort into these things to make it valuable at all. And most people will just not consider it having any value whatsoever right now. So that's something I think that will change with time. But I think our understanding of value is going to change too. So it's a weird, wacky world we're walking into right now. Um, but uh, let's see, how is this one going? Oh, I didn't hit the button. My bad. We're gonna keep going down because of Lizzie's use of OpenAI's like image descriptor thing, like prompt that she ran on this. I'm sure she can explain. I believe I troll for you or syntax. I forgot which one of you guys uh, was doing that with me earlier, but essentially you could run OpenAI to look at your image and get a pretty different style / describe than what Midjourney offers. So that's another option for you. But you could see I'm slowly building my full bodies, and I don't have to worry about changing the word prompt because there's simply so much information that's inside of that inside of Lizzie's description here. We are starting to get some background though as the legs start to get populated, right? So we'll see how this works. It usually, as soon as you incorporate any kind of background, this workflow kind of falls apart. So, yeah, and Lizzie said, "Yep, that's what I did. I had it look at the image and asked it to describe the man in the image to get an accurate physical description." Awesome, very very cool. And I can already tell that the last part of my pan here is falling apart. His legs are becoming arms already. By the way, if I don't bring up the thing that you generated and you think it's super cool, right? You're more than welcome to like hit a heart on it or to otherwise like react to it, and I'm more likely to see it because when I'm scrolling through this stuff, I'll usually go like about this speed and leave it up, and your all's reactions actually tell me just whether or not it's something that is like very much worth it to like look in and mess around with. But for now, we can see how low I was able to get with the pan, and it's quite funny. His legs become arms in just about every one of them, which is normal. As soon as you start panning out too far, it doesn't actually read the rest of the image anymore. Every time you pan, it reads only the half of the image that you're panning from. This is why zoom outs are better. They refer to the whole image. So at least for what we're doing here. So we got as far as we could on the last prompt. We want to skip this one, newest one, go back to this one here. And then I am going to hit custom zoom. And this time inside of the zoom, we're actually going to do full multiple expressions, multiple poses. And then I'm going to switch the aspect ratio to let's do 21:9 just to get us a nice wide on this. And because we have a little bit of head cutoff here, and we could go more zoom if we wanted to, but a little bit of head cutoff means like 1.2 in my opinion. And we'll see if it generates a hat on him. And if you zoom out too far, you're going to start seeing hats on your characters and other things. Little artifacts like that are always kind of funny. But yeah, we'll see how that one renders. It's really cool to see you guys fighting things and seeing wizards fighting things. You feel free to use Vic as like the base model, right? Like Goth Wizard, and then you can inject the other wizards in there too, right? So if you really want to, make someone's day that's on that subreddit, feel free. But let's take a look here. We got our multiple expressions, multiple poses. This should trip out people. It really should. The top left result alone is bizarre to me. It is bizarre to see the same person in the same room and it's not green screen. It's not like this like effect that's being done. A lot of them are very weird. Don't get me wrong, but the sheer fact that this is possible, that it looks this good, means that you can make live action turnarounds very easily. So I wasn't able to do this when I made Chrome Lords, and I haven't really experimented with this too much. But now we have this one here, right? And then we go custom zoom, and we do the aspect ratio trick. I'm just going to hit 2:3, and then zoom to 1. What that's doing is I'm looking at it, I'm seeing that it's a very wide image, so I'm going to do a very tall image instead. But make sure the zoom is set to 1 to not distort as much as possible. Yes. Make that wide,
cool.
the wide President Wizard as wide as possible. That's what I that's what I get from this. This is great. So So let's jump over to chat. There seems to be a lot of stuff going on in chat, but I'm going to just quickly load this up. And look, you've got like a dozen poses of the same character for the most part. Just here, like
And those
ready to
poses
go.
are amazing too.
Yeah, a lot of them are very usable. Some of them are nonsense. You're gonna see like, okay, look how tiny his legs are here. Don't use
I mean,
that.
most of them are poses that you wouldn't do once a day, but like if you were shot,
they're all doing yoga. Like we could actually get him to do yoga by doing this. By
those
the
are
way,
dramatic and dynamic poses. They're different than like poses that you would find on a regular basis.
Exactly. They are super interesting poses, and I hope you guys take full advantage of this. So like what we could do, we could hit multiple expressions, multiple poses. We could write multiple yoga poses. And I'll get rid of expressions just to see what that does. And we'll compare those results. All right, while that's going and you guys are having fun, speed running my tutorial in a whole new way, we're going to go to VC Text and see if you guys got any questions or statements or anything. Feel free to say hey. Boken says AI imagery needs to spread. If it is on a t-shirt or simple paper, just be spiky. Like, hey, Vic, what about we're all here for you? Let's do MJ Avengers so we can come back again with our characters. Do your thing. Okay, yeah. And I know you're just kind of like live responding to me. I really appreciate that. I do think that our future is kind of heading towards this. Event journey. Yes, we need to all assemble our personas together. And I think it's going to eventually end up with one big shit post, honestly. But I do really think that it would be really fun to do. Quite funny to me, actually. I'm going to zoom in on your all's text here because it's always a little frustrating for me working with Discord on this. Because I want to be able to zoom you guys in more or have it not take up half of my screen in a weird way. But we're working on Discord and I want to make sure you guys aren't like just translating text. You can see what I'm doing. So Bob's Blaze, good to see you, buddy. It's been a minute. I appreciate it. Let's see here. Lizzie said no, that's right. She was using the image descriptor. Cool. Very, very cool. So I want to be able to see what you guys end up doing with this new workflow, but at the same time, like, I have no idea whether or not we'll be able to really make this like here's the yoga poses. I would say none of them look like yoga poses, but it is still funny to me that it was able to expand out and try to figure out what we wanted, like what our here. Okay, here's the yoga poses here. It actually did it. That is too funny. So it's trying to do like all these kind of crouchy poses, like sitting, kneeling, that kind of thing. But we start to lose the character the farther out from center we go, which makes sense. Essentially, your immediate poses are the ones you're probably going to end up using. Okay. Imagine how weird this guy's going to be when we have like him doing all sorts of funky poses, and it ends up in his inbox one day. I want this to happen. Whatever you guys are doing with Vic, I am loving it. Absolutely loving it. Because any one of these things that you guys come up with, it's not hard to convert them into comics, at least within Midjourney. So like, for example, I like I Troll for You's one. Let's do that one. Before we can just say, hey, I want this as a comic panel, or sorry, as comic panels. If I just zoom out or whatever, it's most likely not going to do that. It's going to give me like a wider expanded frame. So let's try something a little more subtle first. Custom zoom. I'm not even going to worry about changing the aspect ratio. The only thing I'm going to do is delete all the text and write comic panel. Not plural, comic panel. Border, frame, edge. Just whatever encourages the idea of a white or black line or frame around the image. That is a zoom out of 2, which is way too high. I should not have hit submit. I'll go back into custom zoom. Again, we delete all the text except for your whatever you're doing Niji or whatever. We're going to switch the zoom from 2 to, we're going to say like 1.2 or 1.3. Let's do 1.3. And you could see, like, I wrote comic panels, border, edge, frame, blah, 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 blah. And I didn't get any of that when I did a big zoom out like this. Very cool to see. It's really cool to see him running and, and the bird in the background. Super cool. But let's see if we can try to force it with inpainting now. Because you can notice even when I didn't zoom out that far, I didn't get any panels. But I'll go ahead and hit submit on really any of them. Doesn't matter yet. And what I'm going to do is, remember, I already wrote comic panel, border, frame, edge inside of here. Delete that. I'm going to now just select everything that I don't really care too much about, being majorly like the basically everything that's not the subject in here. So we'll go with something like this. And we'll inpaint. We'll try to inpaint a comic border into it. You also, I realized something with this workflow, guys. It lets you really quickly determine whether or not your silhouettes work. Okay, so like, for example, you have a character that has wings, right? It may not interpret that as wings, but as a cape instead, like it did for this one here. Very, very quickly can just, now you know whether or not that's going to work. Oh, look. Empty space, Niji. So you can see when you wrote empty space, it turned it into like an astronaut, right? Which is hilarious. But it did add your empty space. So there, you got that. There you go. And if you want to inpaint the demon girl back in there, it's pretty easy. You could just, grab an image of her, select that area here, and do that. But you notice that you don't have the inpaint button anymore. You have to actually zoom in some way. And you can see you're already doing it while I'm talking. Of course, Ancient is. He knows more than I do about this stuff. But if we hit custom zoom, if you don't want this image to change at all, but you still want to be able to have your inpaint controls, you need to know what your aspect ratio is. So when we pan to the right, that means that it basically made it a 2x1, because by default they're 1x1, right? So but a 2x1, it'll be first a 3-2 and then a 2x1. You could just kind of look at it and you'll get used to seeing it by eye, that this is a 2x1. So that means you hit custom zoom, switch the zoom to 1, and then right 2x1. And then it won't zoom out at all and you'll get all your controls back. And look at these epic webcomic of a wizard comic panel by I Troll For You. I like the eyes. I like all these. It's pretty funny. The thing is that because the word or epic webcomic is in there, it's gonna start pulling from webcomics, and webcomics don't really look like what we're pulling out of, right? So this is an example of where going very simple might be actually better. So let's take a look at the original prompt. He added comic panels, so it successfully did add the comic panels. That's great. Thank you, Senior Carlos, for making me laugh on that one. That's too funny. The yoga, the guy imagine the inbox of this guy. He gets this like, why am I doing a yoga pose like a dozen times all over the place? It's really, so you can see. Let's go to yes, this is the one I wanted to show you here. We're gonna re-roll this one. It says epic webcomic of a wizard comic panel, right? Let's re-roll that and hit comic panels and write something really simple. Like, let's do the Dragon Awakens. Just something really ambiguous that might be kind of interesting to see. And because it's set to the same like aspect, all the same codes that he has here, we probably won't see too much deviation in how the panels are laid out. We'll have to see on that. His torso is so wrong here. There's so much wrong with this, but it's so funny. Comic panel about a wizard summoning monsters. All right, this one's for my troll for you as well. And you could see we're just getting some amazing inspiration material with this. I would never upload one of these on its own to like an art site, for example. Like, look at this. Look, it's gorgeous in terms of its composition, but there are things that I will really hope that you guys go in and clean up, like properly clean up. Like there's little things, especially when you have multiple panels next to each other, it becomes really obvious when characters and bodies don't make sense anymore. I like the idea that, Victor does a swipe here and this person is like obliterated from that swipe. That's a very cool look, but that arm doesn't make any sense, right? That hip doesn't make any sense. So in order for this to be worth it, worth it for everybody, you want to make sure that you fix all these things. Maybe even pick up an anatomy book and look and try doing some traditional stuff to really understand how muscles work, how, what a good angle looks like, that kind of stuff. Very, very, very essential for doing what I do anyway. Now let's take a look here. Whoa. More amazing stuff from Lizzie, honestly. Every she just knocks it out of the park with some of these goth wizard things. Look at that. Looks so good. All right. So this is the Dragon Awakens. Now, keep in mind, the main difference here was that I didn't say it was a webcomic. I didn't say that it was, that it was any kind of like epic or nothing like that. I just said the Dragon Awakens, right? So one of them, Victor, is like half dragon, which is hilarious. The other one is, like kind of a Dragon Ball Z sort of ball wizard or ball dragon. And you could see that we get much more, at least in my opinion, a lot more true to the art style of whatever we're pulling out of, because we're not saying it's a different medium than what it is. Okay. All right. I'm going to hop over to chat and read your all's statements here. And then we'll check out some of your all's other prompts. Okay. Boken said, we are experimenting. There is no right or wrong. I like the idea of panels, but we have control without panels. That's essentially doing panels on demand. So try it, highlight it. Yes, panels on demand. I'm happy to look into that. But let's see what Ghost Ripple says. It's good to see you, Ghost Nipple. Ghost Ripple. Then Fungi Mancer said, do you need Midjourney to have a white background, or if you like an image, can you make everything around it white in Photoshop and go back to Midjourney? Yes, you can. The way that this really works, and I'll do this with Kinky's character because I got it open in Photoshop here.
I'm a star.
Yeah, we're gonna make you a star here with this one. Do you like this character sheet, by the way? Is it okay if I do this?
Absolutely.
All right, cool. I just want to make sure I'm not like projecting anything onto anybody or anything like that.
Nope.
It's
Love it.
yeah, awesome. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna select each one of these expressions. This is only going to make a dynamic close-up sheet. It's not going to make a full body just yet. We can do that a different way. But if I make him as wide as possible, yes, please do. Okay, so we'll go into VC Create here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select each one of these poses inside of Photoshop and simply copy and paste them into Discord chat here. I actually have a question for AC. Is there a max limit now to the number of images inside of prompts? I have yet to find one.
In V6, yes. Below, no.
Okay. So what's the limit in V6?
I want to say 7. I'd have to double check.
Okay. That's good to know, though.
There was a point when we were testing and too many image prompts just caused it to crash.
That makes sense. That's a good reason. That's a good reason not to include it. And because we are creating a character with a prop, by the way, the hat, that hat will always be continuous no matter what. If we say, hey, this character doesn't have a hat anymore, right? It'll quite likely still populate with a hat, unless we do a word only prompt and, figure it out that way. So we'll see if the image filters will let us get the last image in here in. Sometimes if there's a little too much cleavage, Midjourney is, going to take the liability route and not include that or just yell at you about it. So, and then for funsies, I'll also include this background, like the full body here. But I want to make sure I get rid of as much of this background as I can, like this pillar that's here. So I am just going to deselect that pillar as much as I can. And I have a bunch of quick selection tools in Photoshop. You may not have these tools inside of a different program, but that's what I use. So I'm just quickly, like really sloppily, honestly, grabbing the rest of this hat here. That. And that should be good to where I can probably just copy it and paste it now. Yep, that's good enough. Okay. So you can see I have all these images now inside of Discord. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open them all up. This will give me a unique URL for each image. One more time, I kind of misclicked one of them. I want to make sure I don't get any redundancies here. Okay. Now the only thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a blend. I'm going to just merge them all together. Okay. So we do /imagine. And I'll bring this up here so you guys can see a little better. /imagine. And I'm just going to pull the URLs. You can see I have the URL of each image. Paste. And make sure there's a space between the links. We're just going to do that for every pose that we got off of that one res. This is the speed run part of the tutorial, by the way, is the fact that you can do this off of one generation of image. You know what I mean? Like, it's wicked to do that. I might have. Is that a duplicate? I probably should look at this a little closer, but we'll see what happens. Grab. You can see here that out of the initial results off the first three, we got like a merger of all three, right? And because the poses are probably all just open mouth, open mouth, open mouth, open mouth, right? They all have open mouths. Okay. So we can kind of mix and match these until we get a nice variety of expressions coming out of her. But the idea with the expression sheets is that we want to go like as far as we can with the diversity of these images. So you can see, even though yes, we got a bunch of really unique angles, we didn't get a lot of unique expressions. We got some fun ones, but they're not all unique, right? We need her angry, we need her sad, need her. Oh, I don't want to make Kinky cry, but we're gonna have to make her cry if we want to see all if we want to see the full range here. And you know, the only way we're going to do that is by having or by prompting for those expressions. So we can actually go all the way back and include all those in the request for the expression sheet. So it, you know, with you guys prompting so much, it could be a bit of a task to zoom back out here. But let me just find Kinky's thing here real quick. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. So what we can do now, we can do that. We can even inpaint over the existing one that we already have, so we can have like multiple versions of it. Okay. So I'm gonna hit vary region, and now highlight, select everything that we do not want to include. Yeah, that's good. Now, when it says multiple expressions, multiple poses, we'll do multiple angry expressions, and I'm not even going to worry about. Well, no, we'll leave the poses in there. We'll probably still get some great results with the poses, because the thing is that what multiple expressions is doing, right, is it's changing the actual. It's trying to change the expression on the face, but you need also multiple poses to change the angle of the face, right? Because if you don't say that, if you just say multiple expressions and you get a bunch of flat faces with different mouths on them, that's like an animation thing. Like you want that's like assets for your animation. That's not necessarily what we want, which is absolute diversity in the images. So we will scroll all the way back down through all the fun stuff you guys have done. So much fun stuff. Look, it's a wizard duel. Yes. Yes, wizard duels. All the wizard duels. Um, and you can in-paint Victor or any one of the guys that we've been working on into there, and you'll be able to you know, um you'll be able to show these guys battling each other. They're about to have a ball, by the way. They're about to go to the wizard ball. So that's where they like announce their platforms and stuff. So yeah, they'll probably appreciate seeing all this. But okay, so this is where I just added the word angry into it, and look at this. Look at that. Now we have an angry Kinky. um, and I'll let her figure out the excuse for being angry at you. But if you want to just have an emote of just Kinky angry at you, then that's the way to do it.
I'm mad that Midjourney didn't like my dress.
Yeah, it is what it is. Multiple emotions, multiple expressions, multiple poses. And the thing is about the multiple emotions thing, right? Is that there's a strong AI bias to the word emotions, especially when you have like male and female characters, right? Like it's amazing just how much exaggeration gets involved. So I find it better just to say angry expression, happy expression, whatever, and go for a specific one. So then you can combine them into the same sheet. Okay. So let's just say, okay, I really like the results of the top right one here. Let's just say that. I'm not sure if it is. I didn't really take a close enough look to determine that, but let's just say that I'm happy with it. Then I can go into Photoshop here, copy paste. And in my expression sheet, I can either expand it out, like just expand the canvas and include some of those expressions. You probably don't want to include all of them. But let's say we really like this bottom one here. Notice that it's a closed mouth. I'll copy that in, paste it, and then open that up. Also, I may have just realized no, I won't get into it. It's just funny thinking about image filters. Okay, so let's look at what we got for our close up of the turnarounds here. There we go, right here. Notice that we had the issue of the closed mouth, of the open mouth earlier, right? I'm going to now re-roll this, add the new image link into the front of the prompt here, but we can actually control this now because we have two different expressions, right? Let's try to force it to be one. We're going to add hyphen, hyphen, and then 3. And I'll zoom in so you guys can see this. Not hyphen, hyphen, sorry. Colon, colon, and then 3. Colon, colon is colon, colon is how you separate prompts into multi-prompts. And you can use that to give individual prompts weight, right? So we're going to do this with the first image only. And so when I hit submit, you can see what it looks like. Okay. So you could see that the first prompt, the first link, has a weight of 3, while the other images have a default weight. So that, like, and this kind of changes per workflow, but generally thinking, if your weight's like, you can look at it as a multiplier, but it's really doing math. It's just adding and deducing like your values in your prompts. So you can't be a negative, like you can't have less than 1 or less than 0 on things. So it's just important that when you're messing around with this stuff, the weights will be, yes, how you can control the imagery, but it's also how you can avoid having to use words. If you don't have to use words, you get much less diversity, which is what you want when it comes to character continuity. And we got it on the 4th one right there. Look at that. We got an angry derivative of all 4 of these because we put a weight of 3 on the angry one. Okay.
That looks really good.
Right? So now you can essentially have her as an actress by having each expression having a weight on it. Okay. And that expression will just be the dominant one. I'm going to show you guys what one looks like when it's completed now. Okay. So I have one that you guys are familiar with from the holiday stream, and the reason I bring her up is because she's like complete. The only thing you got to do is write gnome, and gnome will pop up, and all of her weights are pre-done for you. So, the essentially she will just be very reliably the character that works, right? So there is not a ton of expressions on her. We don't really need a lot of expressions because we can kind of write those in for the most part. But we have a cute character that has a reliable pose and composition, right? Reliable enough actually that I can do this. So we have her here. This is gnome. Again, all of her weights are balanced. You'll notice the one that has the highest weight is actually one that includes an aesthetic sheet, so that we get an idea of the kind of world that she would be populated in, that kind of thing. This was mostly to encourage just a little bit more interesting imagery off of you guys when you were prompting with these images. Without that, there wouldn't be this little subtle background element to make things interesting. It would just be the character asset, which is useful for me. But if I don't want that, I just lower the weight of the first of that last value. Okay. But here's the cool thing. We're gonna go up in the Photoshop really quick. Boop. Okay. We're gonna make a new canvas. Because I have a finished character for Gnome inside of Midjourney, I can now just draw a gnome. So let's do like a schemy gnome. Gnome that's scheming. I'm gonna lower my line weight a little bit here. It's a little silly thick right now. And she has braids, so I'm gonna give her braids. I didn't like those braids. Something like that, right? And we'll just give her the rest of her arms here. Something like that. You notice that I don't really have to worry too much about proportions. I just need to make sure the silhouettes are mostly similar. So let's go for a big kind of big smile, like hey. Yeah. Okay. Kind of come into here. Okay. You get even better controls if you color weight everything. Okay. So let's do a little V here for that. You get much better controls by just saying like, okay, for this hat here, let's do green. That kind of matches the green from the character sheet here. You notice that I'm drawing over the black here. You don't really want to do that. You want to come in, make a new layer. And the only reason why I'm using the color here is just to encourage the results to kind of be evoking what I want at the end of the day. So I can come in and say that she's a brunette. So like we can just switch that color to brown. Something like that. You do not need to be good at drawing to do this, but the better you are at drawing, the more likely you're going to get results that you like. I'm just going to be honest about that. That's kind of a golden rule when it comes to this stuff, is that you it really does reflect how, how much you understand like composition, but also just like the relation of your characters and stuff. Like this will probably be a little weird because Gnome here doesn't really ever do this pose, but that's why I'm doing it. Is I want to try to encourage the results to be different than what they are in my character sheet, and essentially warping or manipulating things until they get to that point. And then I'll get to your all's comments and questions. So I just want to get rid of this really thick line weight that I used for the hat, because thick line weights will give us a little bit of trouble for what we're doing here. We just mostly want to be as give it as much direction as we can. Let's just go with that. But I want to give her eyebrows just to give her a little more, again, a little more direction here. Okay. Now we can just collapse that down. We got this white, really loose sketch of a gnome, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm inside of VC Create. I'm going to just post the sketch here. It's always a bit of a gamble, guys. I really don't know if this is going to work. And whenever I'm doing sketching, I always feel like there's an additional chance something goes wrong because I don't know if that one specific thing that I drew just gets misunderstood. But this little teeny pose here, we are now going to find gnome. Okay. I'm going to hit reroll on gnome. And then I'm going to post my sketch into the front of the prompt and then give it a weight of 15. And really anything between 10 and 20 will probably work. But the idea is, well, at least unless you have a ton of images like I do with my main character thing I'm working on now. Then you want to add even more to that number. But the idea is that sketch now is like significantly higher weight than the rest of the images here. And at least in my experience, when it comes to like Niji and stuff, you get some really great results about being able to control characters with these really loose sketches, and then we'll settle them out to be finished in terms of line art. Yeah, some of these character turnarounds you guys are already working on are really cool. I like this like bird jacket one. That one's pretty cool. All right. Okay. Remember, guys, this is the very, very important thing of what I'm telling you here is that I am not using any words to describe the action that I want this character to do. Okay? I am using only my drawing to do that. And what happens is we lose none of the character continuity. Basically none at all. And the reason why that is because we're not letting it confuse it. We're not letting it lose any of the character continuity. So not only do we have her scheming, like understand, this is the power of image prompts. It is the fact that you can go, hey, I want to be able to do a complex blend and say, hey, bring all this stuff together. But the power of image interrogation is to understand that I was making a girl scheming. Okay, there's nothing about like if you look at the sketch by itself. Okay, look at this. It could have interpreted that a million ways. It could have been a boxer, right? It could have been like there's all sorts of different things this could have been. But look what it did. It made her scheming. Isn't that incredible? But here's the thing, we're not done. We got to go up res. We got to go up res. And then we got to let's do this one too. They're all good, by the way. We're going to up res all of these. And now here's where we go, wow. Okay. Usually either wow or you got to go, oh, I got to tweak some things. This is how you know your character is really done because you can go to variation subtle, highlight, delete your sketch entirely, and then submit it. We're going to do that on all three of these. Oh, she's like, that's stinky. That's what I interpret from this one. It's a little less schemy and more stinky. And we'll go to variation subtle on this one as well. And again, we're just deleting the sketch. What's going to happen here by deleting the sketch, but still doing a variation subtle, and again, we're not using any words, right? What we're doing is we're limiting the output to only be able to refer to the links that we give it. So now what essentially happens is it cleans up the line art. And it made her more like a boxer in the third one, which is kind of funny from what I was saying. But this will keep doing it. Look at this. The line art is done. Like not only the line art, like the coloring is done with this. Okay. They're all basically good. Good enough anyway. But here's the fun. Here's where we go. Like, okay, let's make these two characters scheming together. We're gonna first up-res gnome here. Okay. Now I'm gonna do a vary region. Because I have her style code baked into this character sheet here, I can just delete all of her image codes. Write some sort of scene. So let's do fantasy storybook market. We'll have her like picking out fruit at a market or something like that, okay? We are now going to select all the background, making sure that we leave 0 white behind. This is what I was trying to show you guys earlier with the wizard guy, but there was too much background noise for it. So I'm just going to come into here and make sure that all my selections are only of the white area around it. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I already have the image codes, for GNOME baked into the previous prompt. So I really don't need to worry about this anymore. The edging of this and whatnot. We'll still get some wonkiness. There will always be some weird interpretation of these edges, but we can inpaint them back in later. That's the amazing thing. So I am just making sure that I select all the white that I can. Like so. And the only step you want to make sure at this stage is just to make sure that none of the background is visible to the in page. You just basically want what it looks like here. All checker boxes around it with no spots of white in between. So we're going to say that we're going to submit it. Now, keep in mind, we haven't done any zooms or nothing like that. And you can do this with kinkies too, by the way. Like any one of these, you can highlight around the background, replace the background, and then suddenly you have a completely dynamic scene. This is how I will start my comics when I have a very specific idea. I want to make the character doing something specific. I will sketch out a little doodad, a little doodle, and then inpaint around the character until I have a completed scene. Because we're using a style code that I crafted specifically for GNOME and for her to work in different environments and stuff, you're going to notice something really wacky here. This will probably be how I, start to slow down the stream here, is just to show you guys this. Pickle Gnome. Thank you for making a Pickle Rick reference here. But if we look here at the one that we did the market, okay, let's take a look. Take a look at this. Okay. All in her style, by the way. All the line art matches the market. Okay. Now let's get Victor in there to condescendingly help her choose what fruit to pick. Okay. So I'm gonna say let's say this one here, because you're gonna notice that like the edges and borders of your character changes, right? Because we were pretty liberal about how we selected the background, but because we are very close to the edges here, it didn't really screw up at all, and we still have a missing arm here, which we might be able to use later, by the way, and I'll show you what I mean by that. But first, let's try to get Vic in there, and I'm going to show you the thing that I was explaining the Legal Beagle before, okay? Which is that if you want to have a character be that you have saved, right? You probably do not want to use your image references at this stage. What you want to do is you want to include a word-only prompt of the character as close as you can to the description of it to create a matching silhouette of some sort. So for me, I say, let's do goth wizard. Sorry, it makes me giggle every time I write goth wizard. So goth wizard is disappointed. Just disappointed goth wizard. That's a pretty easy one. That's probably going to be really easy for it to figure out. So we'll just pan to the right on here. If for example I did include Vic's code in here, right? The problem with that is that the weights of the images are way too high. They will create white backgrounds like this. We do not want any white backgrounds. We want to inpaint the character into the image after we have it, after we're happy with it. So you could see as it starts to generate, I have a very basic word-only prompt that creates a character that's somewhat similar in a silhouette, which is certainly going to be what comes up here. Because everything that spawns off a GNOME is not only adorable, by the way. If you want to make your own character that looks kind of like GNOME, but is your own fantasy version of that, just pan off of her and write your character description in there. So if we want to do the white-haired tiefling, for example, you can just pan over and say, white-haired tiefling, black horns, and then inject her image art into there after you do this. So you could see with the goth wizard though, we only got one that was usable, which is the top right one, because it has the hat pans out. You'll notice that a lot of my characters have very simple silhouettes and forms because that's what I'm aiming for. My life easier. I do not want to make my life harder by including a bunch of patterns and all that kind of stuff. So I purposely only draw in patterns afterward. But now that we have this here, you notice I do not have my in paint button yet. That's fine. We're going to hit custom zoom. This is a 3-2, so I'll hit 3-2. And then the zoom to 1. This is just going to get me my controls back without changing much of the image at all. All right. Okay. Um okay, let's see. Wizard in red dress looking angry. Yes, I love this. All the wizard everything that spawns off of her, especially the women that spawn off of her, are going to have braids, by the way. So make sure you have an injection or a character you want to put in there. Ahead. Oh, look at this cute little girl that Lux is already going on. Okay. So we have the white haired tiefling. Amazing, right? Like we could just now in-paint her back into there and it'll be fine. But I'm going to show it with Vic because I know Vic works. So Vic's about to come through here. We'll just give it a moment. I love these negotiations, all these like wizards talking in this space. And you notice that it's like a Rhapsody, yeah. If you would have done an in-paint of the background of the wizard in the middle before you did the comic panel expansions, you would have gotten all those backgrounds to show up continuously too, or at least somewhat continuous. But now you have a bunch of great assets that you can put your own custom background in, which is way better, in my opinion. It really depends on how savvy you are at Photoshop. Okay, so you'll notice it does not matter which one I pick of these because they're all basically identical. There's some minor differences towards the very edges of the frame, but because we didn't do any zoom out and we picked the same aspect ratio that the image is, it kept it the same and gave us all of our controls back. So now I can just hit vary region and select all the parts that do not match Vic. Okay, so I'm gonna say like most of the hat is a little too cleaned up and nice for Vic. Vic has a pretty tattered hat, as you could tell. So we're going to come into here, select just a good amount of the hat, and then I'm going to also select the inside of the hat as well, just to kind of reinforce that I want that essentially I want to get as much of my character back in there as I can. And you can just kind of go ham with it. Any part that doesn't look right to you right now, just go ahead and select it, like in paint it, and see how it's able to fill in that information there. If it's too wild, go ahead and delete most of this in paint and go from there. But you notice that I'm keeping small segments of the image that I know will be fine, that I know matches at least most of Vic's look or silhouette or whatever. I did grab this little weird part, this little weird thing hanging out here. But we're gonna just now delete everything that's in here except for the Niji and the style code. Okay, you could leave the aspect ratio; it doesn't matter. But we're gonna then replace it just with the image codes for Vic. So only URLs, no words. So yeah, let's see here with the fungal master. So you're trying to get a silhouette and then replace that with your character code in the in-paint. Yes, I am. I'm trying to get something that is as close as possible to my to my character design that I can, so that when I do the in paint, I get 90% of it in the right pose, in the right angle, and whatever, the right expression. And I can see that Legal Beagle's got his sage here. So yes, okay. So this is your Sage the Mage. I'm sorry. You could now put kinky on that all day. That works with the red dress and all. But overall, once I show you guys how to in-paint the faces here and make it look good, right? I know that you guys are gonna have a lot of fun seeing your characters recontextualized inside of your prompts. And yeah, just like what Rhapsody's doing here, now that she has a background on this, she can just create comic panels of this entire scene of these wizards fighting some dude or something or whatever, right? So you could just do this custom zoom, and then let's do 2-3 comic panels fighting the knights who say ni. I forgot, is it, I have to see how it's spelled just to make sure the reference is right here. Ni, okay, it's Ni, like Okay, yeah, the knights who say neat. Uh, neat, and I'll just put it in quotes because why not? Even though it's in V5, so it won't do proper text, but it's fine. Comic panel zoom one. Yep, knights who say neat. We'll just see what that does. Um, huh. My inpaint doesn't seem to be rendering very fast, but it's okay. We are getting closer to the end of the stream here. Um, I do wanna mention really quick though, guys, that you all are awesome. We are so close to 1,000 members on my Discord that I can say right now that that's mind blowing to me. I was like, why would anybody want to watch me make comics? On Midjourney, like why? And it's and I'm gonna go back check out the images here in a minute of Oaken, but I'm just so appreciative of you guys, so much so that we're gonna be able to do this kind of stuff. You guys are more than welcome to join there. It's Kinky was I really do appreciate you linking that. You can make comics with me. We can explore your characters. We have a list of original characters that you're welcome to use from the community and as well from me. And yeah, Magical Avengers. Let's just do Magical Avengers all day. But I want to see you guys using your own characters as well as mine and whatnot. But it is pretty easy to do. What you do is you go to the Discord. Inside of the Discord, you'll see the announcement about next week's stream featuring Bayrate, which, by the way, I can already go ahead and link the proper one, but I want to show you guys this first. So inside of my Discord, you could scroll down and get to original characters in here, and you can see the original character sheets from everybody who's been a regular here, including like the Redditor and various other characters that are quite popular. Especially Sage and Michael are my easily my two most popular characters. This is Legal Beagle's Sage the Mage, so she's already got a little bit of claim on her. So feel free to please be adventurous, please explore. Um, Inside of here is the gnome code as well, so you have all of her image references that goes in the code, but you also have instructions about how to draw her. So if you want to really get a good sketch of her done, you can just copy these colors and you'll get really good results. And yeah, just in general, very cool to see. And then we got like Street Shark characters and 3D Pixar characters and this awesome like child going to school with the fact that we got that little headdress thing to be as repeating as it is awesome. Very, very cool to clean that up for him and make it, because that's what it originally looks like. These sheets are almost useless for us because we need each pose to be independent and we need there to be no ground plane at all. And look at that. Nice, clean, separated, all that sort of stuff. The original version that he sent me had all sorts of issues when it came to the continuity of things. Particularly the folds of the fabric were all wrong. The bag was unnecessary. There's a bunch of stuff that just is confusing information. And the difference, it's so important to be able to tell the difference between the two sheets here. You could see the pockets are clearly identified. You could see that there's various different details that I went through and cleaned up and made them continuous by just simply providing 5 unique but the same character images. Same thing. This is how simple you can go. This is a continuous character. It doesn't need any additional images than this. You don't even need additional expressions because this character could just be said, "Oh, he's sad," and then you have a little sad panda, right? So yeah, very, very awesome to be able to do that. Okay, let's hop back into let's see here, the Midjourney stream here. And I just really appreciate you guys checking all this stuff out. Let's do one more look at VC Create and see what we got going on here.
Yeah, I know. My links are being weird today. It's
It's okay. It's all good. You could find it by just searching Movie Machine or Victor Gnarly on Discord. Look at this. Looks so good. So good to see you guys expanding this stuff out. More comic panels of Gnome in the market. Yeah, that's awesome. Um, Again, I'm gonna go through all these guys when I find time later today, and see which ones are worth it. If you guys like any of them, be sure to hit a heart on it so that we could tell. And it's just really cool to see like food fights in markets and stuff from you guys because that's what's happening. You guys are asking for fights in a market, and it just starts to figure stuff out. So yeah, very very cool. Yeah, it never really got to my in pain of victor on here. That's fine. It's probably just a temporary issue, but very cool to see. Look at that. Look. Yeah, it's so cool. It's so cool to see you guys start really messing with these characters and my workflows here. So enjoy. I think this is going to be where I cut it for today. If there's any questions or anything like that, feel free to ask them inside the voice text here. Um, and I'll be here next week with Bay Rate from the Lord of the Ring movies. So Bay Rate is the creature facial lead behind Gollum. He's literally the guy who created the system that made Gollum work. So I cannot emphasize just how big of a dude he is to be coming into here and just hanging out with us for however long he wants. Um, so I am super stoked for you guys to be able to. By the way, you'll be able to ask him questions directly. So, it'll be very cool to see this sort of response from you guys. Expect a lot of just a lot of interviews, sort of stuff. I'll be asking him a couple handful of questions ahead of time. So if you want to, if you have any questions you might want to ask him, post it in the text chat inside of my Discord. That'll probably be the best place to for me to see it. But for now, I want to just thank you guys again so much for hanging out with me and making cool stuff together. Um, it's especially exciting time. There's just a lot of things going on, and you guys are super cool people. So one of the things that you're gonna expect to see is a challenge from Bay. Bay will be giving you guys a challenge for sure. There's a couple of them that are going to be completely different than my workflow. So we'll see how it goes. It should be a lot of fun. And otherwise, I just want to say a couple goodbyes here to Boken, to Ghost Ripple, Lizzie, the Fungamancer. It's nice meeting you, man. If you have changed your name or anything and we met before, it's good to meet you again. But yes, I do really appreciate your prompts today. Of course, Rhapsody. We'll be getting some mods in for the new Discord for the Discord. So I think Rhapsody is probably on the short end of that list. If anyone else is interested in that, feel free to message me on text chat. Um, just know that PMs, direct messages, that kind of thing is a real crapshoot with me. I may not see it. Sorry. And otherwise, yeah, there you go. Thank you guys so much for being here. And yes, salute to your personas, guys. And Nabar, thank you for joining. Legal Beagle, thank you so much. And you all have a great night. And of course, Princess Lux. Of course, like how can I forget? Ciao, ciao, guys. And
Bye.
see ya. See you guys.
I can't believe I found wizards applauding. I did. Bye.
See ya.